Akeem learns he has a long-lost son in the United States and must return to America to meet this unexpected heir and build a relationship with his son. Hello, everybody. I'm Steve from VALHARTV, and today I'll be reviewing Coming to America. So we start out in Zamunda again, and we see pictures of the original movie, which I think this is where they really start bringing you into the nostalgia, because we get to see pictures of Akeem in a Zamunda, then of him and Lisa, and there's several other pictures, like there's one of him and Semi sparring, and they even bring back like a picture, which I cracked up on, of Arsenio Hall's and Eddie Murphy's characters in the barbershop, like the two of them that they played. I thought that was hilarious when they showed that. And then we end up meeting Akeem's three daughters. So here we see that Akeem is only able to have daughters at first. And then we go and we meet the oldest, which is Mika, and we see that she's kind of been groomed to be the heir, because he doesn't really have a son that he knows of yet. But this is like their 30th anniversary, Akeem and Lisa's 30th anniversary. So where do they go to celebrate it? They go to McDowell's of Zamunda. Dude, I totally cracked up at this whole sequence. This was great. So they go there for their 30th anniversary, and there's press there. And we get to see Cleo McDowell in this too, which is great. And he's telling the press that McDowell's is not influenced by McDonald's. I busted out laughing. I was like, dude, the same line after 30 years. Dude, this was great. This was great that they brought him back and they brought McDowell's back. It goes to show how much they're trying to play off the nostalgia of the first movie. And then we end up cutting to Akeem getting summoned by his father. And this is where he learns that he has a son in America, and only a male heir can sit on the throne. So this is where we learn that only male heirs can sit on the throne. Otherwise, the daughters have to marry a male who gets to be the king. And this is also, like, after this, we get to meet General Izzy, which is played by Wesley Snipes. And I thought this was a fun character, too. He comes to the palace. His character is a very showy. Like, there's, like, a huge presentation for his character when we first meet him. And his character is very campy. And I believe this is a character from the original as well. Akeem was supposed to marry his sister in the first one, and he ends up telling her to hop on one foot and bark like a dog. So I thought that was funny, because we do get to see some of that in this movie as well. And, they end up talking, like, him and Akeem and Izzy end up talking about Mika marrying his son. And Akeem meets his son, and he's like, I don't know about that. So Izzy's like, well, I mean, you don't have a male heir, otherwise they would marry my daughter. And Akeem is like, I'll get back to you on that. And they go to, like, him and Semi go to America. And we go back to the barbershop, which is great. Great nostalgia. And they're literally making fun of Akeem for coming back, after 30 years. And, before that, though, we get a funeral for James Earl Jones' character, Jaffe Joffer, and which is great, because it's Morgan Freeman narrates the king's life, and then he talks about, like, how no one smiles after the king passes away, and no one does something else. And Akeem is like, what? The look on his face is great in this. We even get to see a performance by Aretha Franklin too, which is awesome. So we get a lot of good songs and a lot of good music in this movie. And but again, once we go to America, this is where Lavelle comes in, and Lavelle is a decent guy. He dropped out of college to help his mom pay rent because his mom didn't have a job anymore, and he scalps tickets with his uncle. So, but Lavelle ends up playing the card, everyone has written me off because of the way I look. because he is trying to find a real job to help out more because he doesn't want to scalp tickets. And like this scene, I thought was kind of funny. When he first meets, when Akeem first meets Lavelle, he dresses up like like in the original movie where he's a tourist. He's got all the buttons, the New York jacket on, and I had to crack up laughing because, again, another nostalgic moment in this. So he goes back to his house with Lavelle, and we meet Lavelle's mother, who is played by Leslie Jones. Now, Leslie Jones is absolutely funny. I think she was great in this movie. And we also meet his uncle, Tracy Morgan, who is he's a funny guy, but his jokes in this didn't land the mark sometimes. They were kind of hit or miss for me. That's just my opinion, though. But he is a funny guy, too. And they, we get to meet them, and Lavelle is like, "You're not my dad, he wasn't around for 30 years, and, even his mom is like, oh, he might be your daddy because of this one night." And this is where the filmmakers retrofit Akeem having a son into the original narrative by re-editing that awesome nightclub scene where we get to meet MC Peaches and Arsenio Hall's female character there that he played, the really tall one. So we get to meet, we get to see this redone, and the de-aging in this was well done, I thought. I didn't really have a huge issue with it, I mean, it did look a little wonky a couple of times, but it was quickly overdone, and it was, it looked good for the most part, because there really wasn't any, huge amount of scenes where they needed to keep the full de-aging in it, for a long period of time. And, so once they see, all this money, they're like, "Oh, sure, you're my dad. I'm going to be rich." And I was like, "Oh, man, you kind of ruined it. It could have been a little bit better." So I had some mixed feelings about some of the parts in this movie. But, so when they go back to Zamunda, we see that Akeem has arranged a marriage for Lavelle with Izzy's daughter. And at first, Lavelle is like, "Yeah, I'm down for it. She's a good-looking girl." And we're like, "Okay, sweet." But then he starts talking to another girl in the movie, and this is basically where the plot becomes the same as the original. We see that he ends up falling for a girl that he has a connection with, and the other girl that he's supposed to marry, he doesn't have a connection with. He has no real, feelings, and she ends up being the same as the original, the girl from the original movie. He's like, "What movies do you like?" She's like, "Whatever movies you like." "What music do you like?" "Whatever music you like." And he's like, "No, I want a girl who I have a connection with." So he's like, "Stay right here," and then he leaves. And as the movie progresses, we see, this is more and more, and Akeem ends up having some funny moments where people aren't, happy with him because of the decisions he's making. And as the movie ends, we see that Akeem finally comes to terms and, excuse me, and really decides to make changes for the better for, him and his family. So I thought this movie, the de-aging in this was good. The hand-to-hand combat in this was actually pretty good. We get to, we get, a couple of scenes where the girls end up having to fight and not just spar their father. And the acting in this, I thought, was great as well. I really had no issues with the acting. We get to see a lot of return characters from the first movie. For example, all of the barbershop guys were back. Excuse me. And we end up getting to see, excuse me, Reverend Brown and even Randy Watson and Sexual Chocolate come back. So I thought this was really good nostalgia in this. We even get to see two of the girls come back from the nightclub scene as well, which I thought was hilarious. This movie does play on the nostalgia of the first movie, and it was, towards the end, in the middle of the end, it was almost a complete remake of the first movie. So that's where I kind of got a little disappointed, because I was actually expecting a true sequel, not just the same plot with with a son, with the son again, deciding that he didn't want to have an arranged marriage. So that kind of brought it down, but like the nostalgia is what really pulled me in. I did laugh throughout the movie. There was a couple of times where I actually was like laughing, and I'm like, "What am I watching?" Type thing. So it overall it wasn't a bad movie. I enjoyed it. I would give this a 6.5 out of 10. So yeah, overall, I would recommend seeing this once if you wanted to. Wasn't a bad movie. If you guys like what I do, please hit the like button and also subscribe, as I'll be doing more content each week. Take care for now, everybody. And leave a comment down below and let me know what you thought about the movie. Take care for now, everybody.